I was done. Done pretending to smile when I was breaking inside. Done hoping tomorrow would magically fix the mess I was drowning in. Done waking up to a life that didn't feel like mine. I was broken. Not just tired, shattered. And the worst part? No one even knew. I had become an expert at hiding it. The pain, the disappointment, the quiet rage. Every "I'm fine" was a lie. Every laugh felt like a betrayal to the war I was fighting inside. But then, in the middle of that darkness, one thought, one terrifying but powerful thought, clawed its way into my head. What if I just decided, I won't live like this anymore? It wasn't some grand plan. No perfect timing. Just a simple, raw decision. This ends now. And that one decision? It didn't just shift my path. It rewired my soul. That's the story I'm going to tell you. Because if you've ever felt broken, you need to hear what happened next. I hit rock bottom, and not the kind that makes for a cool comeback story. The kind that's cold, silent, and terrifyingly real. I was broke. I don't just mean my bank account. I mean me, my spirit, my belief in anything, my sense of purpose. Gone. I remember sitting alone in my apartment, lights off, not because I wanted some dramatic mood, but because I literally couldn't afford the electricity bill that month. No job. No love life. No direction. Just silence. And the sound of my own thoughts screaming at me. You're worthless. You're wasting your life. You're not going to make it. I tried to fight those thoughts. I told myself to be positive. But how do you stay positive when the world keeps slamming doors in your face? Job interviews? Rejections. Relationships? Ghosted. Friends? They stopped calling a long time ago. Probably got tired of my excuses and fake smiles. You know what's worse than being alone? Feeling invisible while surrounded by people. I felt like a burden, even to myself. I'd lie awake at night staring at the ceiling, whispering to the darkness, Is this it? Is this all my life's going to be? And then came the identity crisis. Because I had dreams. Big ones. But somewhere along the way, they slipped through my fingers like dust. And I started to believe maybe I was just average. Maybe I was meant to watch others live their dreams while I just existed. But deep down, and this is the part one couldn't kill, there was this quiet whisper that refused to die. You're meant for more. Not fame. Not money. But meaning. A life that felt like mine. A life I could wake up excited to live. But I kept failing. Over and over again. And that's when the real question hit me. If I'm meant for more, then why do I feel so empty? Why does it feel like every step forward knocks me 2 steps back? I didn't know it then, but I wasn't alone. This struggle, it's universal. That aching feeling in your chest that says, you're capable of more, but you're stuck in a life that's too small for your soul. We've all felt it. That silent battle behind the smiles. The quiet desperation to feel like we matter. Like we're not just floating through life waiting for a miracle. But here's what no one tells you. It's not about success. It's not about money or recognition or having it all figured out. It's about survival. It's about choosing to stay in the fight when everything in you wants to give up. It's about rediscovering yourself when the world has tried to erase who you are. What comes next isn't a fairy tale. It's raw. It's uncomfortable. But it's real. This is the story of how one decision, just one, became the spark that reignited a life I thought was already over. And if you're in that place right now, broken, numb, lost, then maybe this story is yours too. I looked in the mirror again, no longer as a stranger, but as someone who had fought for this moment, someone who had decided not to stay down. And I thought about everything I had gone through just to get here. Every setback, every failure, every painful moment. And somehow, I knew I had a choice. I could either listen to that voice in my head, the one telling me I wasn't good enough, or I could listen to the one that said, "You are stronger than you think." I sat in silence for a while, asking myself, what do I really want? And then the answer hit me. It wasn't success. It wasn't money. It wasn't fame. It was purpose. It was the fight for something bigger than just existing. Something meaningful. Something that would make me feel alive again. And that's when it happened. That's when I made the decision. The decision that changed my life forever. I wasn't going to let fear control me anymore. I wasn't going to let anxiety win. I wasn't going to let comfort keep me stuck. I stood up. And for the first time in a long time, I believed. It wasn't easy. But I woke up earlier every day. Not because I had to, but because I finally wanted to. I had made a decision. I was going to change. I had to. But the first few days? It was hard to even believe in myself. I could barely drag myself out of bed. The weight of the past was still heavy. But there was a fire now. A fire that had started to burn in me again. Every morning, I told myself, no one is coming to save me. I have to save myself. It wasn't some big, dramatic moment. It was the small things, the tiny victories that, at first, felt insignificant but slowly built up. I started to build a routine. I set simple goals, but I made them non-negotiable. I'd wake up at 6 a.m. every day, not because I had a job waiting for me, but because I had myself to fight for. I would write down my goals. I would exercise, even if it was just for 10 minutes. I would eat better. And I would work on the things I had abandoned in the past, those dreams I had pushed aside, thinking they were too big for someone like me. Each day, there were small wins. A completed task. A piece of work done that I had once thought was impossible. Each win felt huge, even though, on the outside, no one else would have noticed. But on the inside, I felt like I was climbing mountains. I remember one day in particular. I had finished a project I had been putting off for weeks. I sat there looking at it, feeling a sense of accomplishment that I hadn't felt in years. I couldn't believe I had actually done it. And that's when I realized the victory wasn't in the project. It was in the fact that I had shown up, that I had kept my word to myself. The battle wasn't about what I was doing, but about who I was becoming. Every small action, every tiny habit, they were changing me. I could see the shift in my mindset. I could feel it in the way I held myself. I started believing that I had the power to make my life different. I began to reflect on who I used to be. I was the person who avoided hard things. The person who let fear keep me frozen. The person who made excuses for why I couldn't have more. But now, I was someone who was doing the hard things. Someone who no longer let fear dictate my choices. Someone who was no longer waiting for life to happen to me. I was making it happen. But here's the thing. As much as I wanted to believe it, the hardest part of the journey wasn't over yet. The first few weeks felt like an uphill battle, but the more I kept going, the more my mindset shifted. The old version of me, the one who had given up, the one who had let life defeat them, was slowly fading away. I could see the change. I could feel it in my soul. But deep down, I knew that the real test was still ahead. I had faced the pain, the disappointment, the fear of failure. But the real question was, could I handle the success? Could I handle the pressure of rising above the expectations, both my own and the ones the world placed on me? There were days when the doubts crept back in, even though I had made progress. What if it wasn't enough? What if I failed again? I knew the true test was ahead, but I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I had already come this far. I wasn't going to back down now. As I looked back at the journey I had taken, I couldn't help but marvel at how far I had come. The person who had been stuck in the darkness, broken, lost, afraid, was no longer the person I saw in the mirror. I had grown. I had fought. But deep in my gut, I knew that the greatest battle of my life was still ahead. It was the moment that would define everything. The room was dark, save for a spotlight on me. My heart was pounding in my chest. The weight of every single fear I had ever carried felt heavier than ever before. It was my moment. My defining moment. I had been working for this. I had fought through the sleepless nights, the crushing doubts, the days when I thought I couldn't go on. And now, here I was, standing in front of an audience, ready to speak. Everything inside me was telling me to run, to walk away, and never look back. The fear was overwhelming. What if I failed? What if they didn't listen? What if they saw me for the fraud I had once believed myself to be? But then, I remembered why I was here, why I had fought so hard. I wasn't here to be perfect. I wasn't here to get everything right. I was here to show them that I had made it, that I had survived, that I had transformed. You're ready. The voice inside my head was quiet but firm. It was the voice that had pulled me through every obstacle. It was the voice of the person I had become. I stepped forward into the light, and for the first time, I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel small. I felt strong. I felt like I could do anything. The words flowed out of me. I didn't have a script. I didn't need one. Everything I had lived, everything I had learned, poured out from the deepest parts of me. The audience was with me. I could see it in their eyes. There was no going back now. This was who I was meant to be. I spoke from the heart. Every word, every sentence, every pause, it was a declaration. I was no longer the person who doubted their worth. I was no longer the person who let fear control them. I was no longer the person who hid from their destiny. I was the person who had embraced every part of themselves, the broken parts, the lost parts, the ugly parts. And now, I was standing here transformed. The applause felt like the loudest sound in the world. But more than that, it was the feeling inside me that I will never forget. This is who I am. This is who I was meant to be. The emotional victory wasn't just in the speech, in the applause, or in the success. It was in the fact that I had finally believed in myself, that I had stepped into my power and claimed my future. And now, standing there, I realized it wasn't just about the moment. It was about everything that led to it. Every small decision, every struggle, every battle. I had fought for this moment, and it had changed me forever. Call to action, CTA. So now I ask you, what's stopping you from becoming who you were meant to be? Are you waiting for the perfect moment? Are you waiting for the right conditions to line up? Are you waiting for someone to tell you that you're ready? You're ready. The question is, are you ready to decide? The old version of you is gone. Bury it. Burn it. Let it die. This is your time. It's time to act. It's time to become who you were always meant to be. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more letting fear decide your life. This is your moment. Your time. Decide. Act. Become. Now go and make it happen.